Hey everyone, Michael here, but some of you may know me as Boggsy. I have a very bad confession I have to fess up to finally. For those of you that may or may not know, there was a drama incident that happened over the summer that involved a I Love Kim Possible a lot, or as some know her as Rachel, and an anonymous Twitter account that had been harassing her and exposing her and basically leaking everything that was available at the time. So I'm just going to put it out there in the open. I'm Anon KP Leaks. Now, people were skeptic on who was running it. People were wondering if it was, KP members themselves. People were wondering if it was people from 4chan. And people were just like, who's running this account? And now you know the truth. The truth is I was running the account. So I guess if I'm going to explain everything, I might as well go back to November 1st of 2015, a whole year ago. On November 1st, I was fired from Team KP, and the reason was that I was depressed, I had stopped working, and deadlines after deadlines, I had just passed them, and I basically let my work go. So I was fired from Team KP back November 1st. I had lied to get into it, and I had basically shit myself out of it. Now, you may already be thinking, oh, he's angry that he was fired, and that's why he made the non-KP Leaks Twitter account. That is not correct at all. When I was first fired, I had no beef with KP. I understood why she did it. I was depressed, and I didn't want to do work anymore. I had deadline after deadline I had missed, and I was happy that I was finally let go. I was finally happy that I could be myself again, because working with her was an experience, one that I'll never forget. But it was more of a positive experience than a negative. I can't really complain. Most of the people on the team were as friendly as can be. KP herself was more than generous on keeping me on the team after I'd lied to get in, and there was really no beef. There was really no inside argument, and when I left, there was really no outside argument. After I'd left, one of the last things I'd worked on for KP was the animatic for the different Despective animation that came out in July. I had it saved to a Dropbox account, and my friend who had access to this account found this. He had known I had worked for KP, and he decided to take it upon himself and leak the animatics and some of the old rough animation files. Now, at first, I didn't know why he did this. He was just being a dick. He did, this is what this guy does. And basically, I didn't really have a problem with it, though I did at one point tell him to take it down, even though he didn't listen, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it was finally taken down with a copyright strike. Now, him and I, we like to push buttons and stuff like that, and he started pushing my buttons, and he goes, I bet you won't leak it. So with him pushing my buttons and stuff like that, I was like, okay, I'm up to your challenge. I'll leak it myself. And I did. I believe that was back in February I leaked it. And that was the second time it had gotten leaked. Now, with it being leaked the second time, was that right of me? The answer is no, but I didn't really think anything of it. And I had just gone, I didn't think. I just did it. I just do sometimes. And that is a flaw I have. I just do things without thinking twice. And that will show up later, but we'll get to that. Initially, that was finally taken down, and there was nothing there. There was no beef between KP and I anymore after this after the animatic and rough animation leak was taken down a second time. There was really no beef. I still did not have a problem with KP. When this all started to escalate into a non-KP, it was mid-July, and the different Despective animation had finally came out. With the release of the animation, a couple of friends of mine had known I had worked for KP, and they pointed me in the direction of 4chan, and I asked them, why did you send me this? and they're like, yo, dude, look, they're bashing on this animation you helped work with. Now, in this thread, there were people complaining about the animation. They were complaining about how bad it looked, how bad the acting was, and all this and that, just negative after negative. But the thing that got to me was the fact that so many people had started talking about KP herself, how apparently how big her ego was, how big and how crazy she had acted to other people, how she let fame get to her head, how she let attention get to her head, and all this stuff. And now, initially I thought, nah, it was just nothing. It was this is nothing. These are just people that are pissed off at KP for just the sake of being pissed off. But then I realized there was one dude in there that happened to be an editor, and the way I knew he used to be a former editor of KP is because he was putting stuff into the thread that only editors would have acquired. Eventually, I got in contact with him, and we started talking. He had basically told me how he had a bad experience with some of the other members on the team, and how he just didn't feel like he was appreciated, or how he felt like he was, just treated badly on the team. Now, with that being said, that with what 4chan had been happening, and with this other person that had just left KP telling me he had a bad experience, I decided to take it within myself, go to the people that I happen to know, and ask them their experiences with KP. I went around. It was about a day or two of talking to people. I talked to at least 10 or 12 people at this point, and the majority of what they had to say was negative after negative after negative. And I started to get this mentality in my head that KP was a bad person. KP was the root of all evil. She should be stopped, and what she's doing is not public. People don't know what's going on, and things needed to be said. Now, how it should have gone down was people should have acted like adults. People should have been, if they had problems with KP, they should have gone to her about it. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. And what happened was, me being the way I was raised, how I was raised was, if you see something, say something. And in this case, I saw people were being distreated, or at least that's what I thought. I thought people were being distreated, and I saw and heard so much negativity coming out on KP. So with all this negativity going around, and with all this happening, I decided to take it within myself and create the Anon KP Twitter account. With the creation of the Anon KP Twitter account, only a couple of people had known it was actually me, and they were also really, really old members of Team KP. And they were also listening in to all the 4chan and what everybody had to say, and they finally thought to themselves, they had the same mentality as me. If nobody's going to say anything about it, then let's make this anonymously and finally put the truth out there. At first I had good intentions, and then it spiraled out of control. I started to begin to harass people. I started to begin to bully people, and one thing led to another. And I just basically became so obsessed with people seeing what I had to say. I got so obsessed with everybody paying attention to the Twitter account. I got so obsessed with seeing how I can get a reaction literally out of everybody that was paying attention. There were some friends of mine that had said, "You should stop what you're doing. This is not going to end well for you." And I thought to myself, because we were getting so far at that point, no. Let's keep going. Nothing can hurt me. Nothing will hurt anybody, and there will only be good that comes out of this. And oh my God, was I so fucking wrong. Around September or October, I was told by somebody that happened to know KP, one of the reasonings to why she was gone for so long. I won't go into any details because that's personal and that's private, and I've learned to just keep things private and honest. But what I will say is what she had gone through was complete and utter hell, and I did not know that I had done that to her. I didn't know that I had done that after it was late. I didn't know I had done that after it was too late. And when I found out that she was going through all that shit, I stayed up. I stayed up the whole night thinking about it. But the reason I didn't come forward right then and there was because at that point I was scared. I was scared because I thought people were going to hate me, never forgive me, and I was scared. Eventually, the people that had helped me in the beginning finally said, enough is enough. We're going to back out of this, and we're going to let you just basically run the account by yourself at this point. And this was after the open letter to KP had gone out, the one with the fake copyright bullshit that Anthony C. exposed and all that other stuff that was in that letter. That letter was a mix between bullshit and sincerity. We wanted good to come out of it, though a lot of it was just basically bullying and harassing and threatening, and that was completely wrong of me. And like I said earlier, after I was just basically left on my own, and I was running the account at this point solo. And at that point too, the drama had already died down a lot. Nobody was really paying attention anymore, and nobody had cared at this point. So this was like late August, early September we're talking here. This is when everything began to go solo. Now, the couple of people that helped in the beginning basically told me, how about you stop running the account, because I just started teasing KP, and I had started basically just throwing hints here and there that, you know, the account was still active and stuff like that. And they basically told me, how about you stop doing what you're doing? We've basically gotten all we could out of this, and you leave it the fuck alone. And I said, okay, I will. I will leave it the fuck alone, and I will not touch it ever again. Unfortunately, as of recently, I did touch it again. I posted a tweet directly to KP's Twitter, and those couple of people that had told me not to mess with it had found out. And when they found out, that's when everything hit the fan. I broke their trust. When they told me to stop, I should have listened, and I should have just not touched it again. In fact, I probably should have deleted the account at that point. What happened was, these people that told me not to do it, otherwise there'd be consequences, and after I did it, there was consequences. These people had basically went to KP and did the right thing. They basically snitched me out. And with that being said, I don't blame them for that. I broke their trust, and as they said, there would be consequences. They confessed to KP being a part of it, and they told KP I was the one running the whole thing. And one night, we all got in a call, and I apologized to KP. As of right now, I do not have control over the Anon KP Twitter account. The person that does have control over the Anon KP Twitter account is KP herself. After apologizing to KP, I immediately apologized to everybody that's directly affected. And I've lost so much over this. I've lost friends. I've lost my job. I've lost sleep. I've lost what it means to be a decent human being. And I had realized what I had done. What I had done was so wrong, I harassed and bullied people, and that's something nobody should do. That's not right in this world. Especially in a digital world where everything gets to everyone. You just can't do that. You just can't bully people. You just can't harass people. It's not right. It doesn't feel right. And I'm upset in myself that it took this long to realize everything. So with all that being said, I'd like to apologize directly to Rachel, to KP. If I had known the outcome, if I had known what was going to happen in the end, I totally would have not done this. This was something that should have never fucking happened. And I am so sorry. And I don't know if you'll ever find it in your heart to forgive me, but I ask for your forgiveness. And you may hate me, and you may always hate me, but just know that in the end, I do not hate you, Rachel, and I am so sorry for everything that was done to you and everything you had gone through. That was not right, and nobody should have to go through what you did, with everything already out in the open. I hope those that are watching this video also find it in their heart to forgive me, and I hope those friends that I've lost are also listening, and I hope you guys can forgive me too. I don't expect you to, and I expect you to hate me for a long time, if not forever, but I am truly sorry. I wish I could take this whole thing all back. But in the end, I'm glad to have finally put this all out in the open, and I am hopeful that we can look at this together as a lesson, as a very important lesson, and be able to move on from it and learn from our mistakes. God knows I have.